Today's video is a hard truth. You can see that by the title. We're talking all things sucky content. If you are just going out on Instagram or YouTube or wherever and posting cookie cutter, like that's what everybody else is doing kind of content, or even less than what everybody else is doing kind of content, yeah, your content probably sucks. But the good news is you can fix it. Promise, absolutely, you can fix it. But you're gonna have to listen, okay? You're gonna have to listen. I think I might just talk to y'all like I talk to the kids. That we're coaching in baseball right now. So my husband and I decided that for my son's last year in Parks and Rec, we would coach. We have never coached before, not baseball. Maybe we did when he was like really little, but it's just, you know, it's a lot to deal with like parents and like all the things. But we wanted him to have a good last year and we picked a really good team. We're undefeated, like all the things. But I third base coach and I am aggressive as heck sending them home. And when they get to me, my spiel is always, you've got to listen to me. You have to listen, because a lot of times that I will like say something and they will just go and then they get out. And I'm like, I didn't say to go. So I'm going to talk to y'all like that. You've got to listen to me, okay? Pretend you're a kid on my third base. You've got to listen. So in this video, we're going to talk about the standard advice and why it does not work, the boxes that your content has to check, and the actions you need to take for your next piece of content so that it's actually pretty good. But before we get into any of that, I'm hosting a workshop. It's going to be a fun time. So in this workshop, I'm going to teach you how to create content that grows your brand and your bank account. So we're going to take everything you learned today in this video and add even more to it, and then kind of turn it into how do we then take that and make money with it, okay? So I don't care if you are a personal brand, a creator, a business owner, anybody who's creating content on the internet, this workshop is for you. Because the whole point in creating content on the internet is not just to create content. You actually need to make money from it, from brand deals or selling your own stuff or affiliate marketing or whatever. So this workshop is going to teach you that, like the type of content, the style of content you need to be creating to actually make the moolahs. So if you want to come hang out, it's completely free, and we're doing a fun Q&A at the end too, where we're going to talk about kind of the status of content as it is right now. So go to heyjessica.com/workshop and sign up so we can expand on what we're going to talk about in this video. There are people in this world hawking really vanilla advice about content creation. And I want to just go ahead and nip that in the bud. Is it bud or butt? I feel like butt is funnier, but I think it's nip it in the bud. I'm not sure. But whatever it is, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna nip that thing in the wherever, okay? Because the standard advice is old advice. And if you are looking for someone to tell you that all you need to do is create one piece of content and chop that down and repurpose it and put it everywhere, I'm not your girl, okay? But if you're looking for someone to tell you what kind of content actually does well on all the platforms and will actually get you where you wanna be, I am your girl. So if you've heard to follow the trend, repurpose, get found in search, or sell consistently or constantly with your content, all of that is wrong. It's just bad advice. That might have been what worked 4 years ago, but that is not the landscape that we're in right now. And let me explain that. Because here's the thing, I have been creating content on this World Wide Web for more than a decade. And I have seen the trends come and go and change and do whatever they're gonna do. And social media and kind of what works, what doesn't work, changes really, really, really fast a lot of the time. So we went from podcasting and live video on Facebook and really like SEO heavy YouTube videos in like 2015, 2016, 2017 to stock photos on Instagram for like the perfect curated feed, to authenticity on Instagram with photos, to TikTok taking over in 2020, to all of the other platforms running and trying to be TikTok. So reels and short form content being the thing that you needed to do. And we made all of those changes in like 4 years, okay? And since 2020, there's not really been a lot of change in the format of content. And because of that, I think people think that because the format is the same, like the vertical short form content, that the actual content is the same. That what worked in 2020 still works now. And that is absolutely not true. In 2020, because there wasn't as much content on Instagram or TikTok or wherever, I could take this long form video and chop it up into short form pieces and put it on all of those platforms and it would do decent. I could follow the trends, right? Like I could mouth the things on Instagram and like do the things and get pretty good traction. I could create SEO heavy videos here on YouTube that only went out to like look for search and grow. I can't do any of that anymore because the landscape has changed. The format has stayed the same, but what people want to watch, what people want to consume, what they are looking for out on the internet is very different. And so when you're hearing this standard advice, it is just flat wrong because it's old. Womp womp. So if you are creating content that checks any of those boxes, that's why it is not very good. It's the old way. It's the 4 years ago way or the 2 years ago way. It's the holding your phone up like this and mouthing a trending sound on Instagram way. That doesn't work anymore. Last year, the big trend was like B-roll and text over top of the screen. That doesn't work anymore. Here on YouTube, when I first started, creating content that was like super keyword heavy and just answered people's questions are what grew a channel. And now I can tell you for sure, after, several years of doing that, I got to the point where my channel just died because nobody was sticking around for me. They were only sticking around for this like really quick content. That doesn't work. So what boxes should you be checking? Let's talk about it. Also, this is the first sweet tea I've had in like 2 weeks because I'm trying to quit. So good. Anyway, this may sound like fluffy advice, and maybe in some ways it is, but I'm gonna try and explain it the best way I can. Your content needs to be, like the first box that it checks is that it needs to be fun to consume. People are getting on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, podcast, like whatever they're consuming content, and they are wanting to be entertained. They're wanting to be educated. They're wanting to be entertained. And if you can combine those two, it's even better, right? Like they want that thing. Everybody has their own thing that they're wanting to learn or whatever, but either way, they're wanting to be entertained. So your content has to be fun to consume. Because if it's not, they will dip out and go find somebody's whose is. Somebody's whose is? Sure, you get what I mean. Anyway, gone are the days when we can create like boring content just because it was informational and got them the information they needed because, y'all, we live in the information age, right? Like there is so much information on the internet. All they have to do is go into ChatGPT and they have to say, how do I do this thing? And ChatGPT is like, here's this thing. So you're not teaching anybody anything new on the internet. I mean, maybe you are in your own style or things like that, but if you don't make it entertaining while they're learning and talk to them in a way where they are like captivated, your content's gonna suck. Have you ever heard the quote, different is better than better? It's by, I think, Sally Hogshead, but different is better than better. You have got to find a way for your content, yourself, your thing, your style, whatever, to be different in some way. Because again, if it's the same cookie cutter content out there, nobody is going to care or watch or consume or share or do the things that they need to do for your content to be good. This could just be your personality. This could be the style in which you film. This could be the style in which you edit. This could be sound effects. This could be like a different take on something. This could be something that's like controversial and you are going the opposite way of most people. But you've got to be different in some way. And it has to be personal and authentic. People have to get to know you. People have to know who you are. People have to attach to your style, your mannerisms, your things that you're doing. It has to be authentic. If you are not being authentic to yourself in your content, then it's going to come across. I feel like this is a buzzword that's batted around. Be authentic. Authenticity wins, like whatever. And so it can be a little bit fluffy to even explain. But if someone wouldn't run into you at like a conference or, in the airport or whatever and say she is the same, he is the same, whatever, on the internet as they are in real life, you're doing it wrong. And if you are just copying other people in your niche that have your audience that are doing the content you want to create, it's going to come across that way. People are going to be like, that doesn't seem authentic to her. I promise it will come across. So you have to be personal and authentic. We are just beyond the days of creating content and leaving the personal out of it. If you're creating content on the internet, you need to be bringing people into you and into your world. And that doesn't mean you have to explain or expose everything, right? I think I might have mentioned this in another video, or maybe I just thought it in my head. I don't remember. But for instance, I am a mom But I am not putting my kids in my content. I never have. Have they been in it here or there? Sure. But I'm not like a mommy blogger or a vlogger, or do I incorporate my kids? It's just not really what I'm comfortable with. So like I talk about my kids, I talk about our things, I talk about whatever, but I'm not like sharing my children. And that is personal, but also respecting my own boundaries. So you get to pick what parts of you that you share. Like you don't have to share everything, but you do need to share enough to where people feel like it's actually you. Okay, so if traditional advice doesn't work, and if those are the boxes you need to check, what do you need to do for your next piece of content to make sure it's good and not sucky? There's honestly just like 3 main things. You need to have a good hook, tell a good story, and get out of the box. My next video is actually gonna be all about hooks and like how to actually make hooks and things like that. And I have a ton of videos on this channel about storytelling and all of that, but let me just briefly say what I mean about each one of these. No matter what platform you're on, you only have a few seconds to grab people's attention. On Instagram or TikTok or those like short form pieces of content, you have less than 5 seconds to grab someone's attention. Here on YouTube, you're probably looking more like 15 or 20 seconds because you've got a little bit more of a runway, but you only have a few seconds to get people's attention, and that is the hook. There are so many types of hooks you can use. You can use verbal, you can use visual, you can use audio, you can use all of these different types of hooks, but you have to hook them. So first things first, if they don't click, they don't watch. Remember last video, okay? They don't click, they don't watch. Second thing second, if they click and you don't grab their attention, they're still not watching, okay? So the hook is that first few seconds of your video that really hook them in to wanting to stay for the rest of the video. Now, like I said, I have another video coming all about hooks next week, so hang tight for that if you're still a little confused here, or make sure you come to the workshop because I am going to talk about hooks. heyjessica.com/workshop. And next you want to tell a good story. And when I start talking about this, people tend to be like, how am I telling a story? Like, what if I'm doing like a 10-second reel? How is that a story? It's all a story. A story is just a format in which to take people from point A to point B in some way. Whether that's emotional, whether that's educational, whether that's entertainment, you've got to take them on a journey. And when you're really intentional with being like, oh, I'm going to make sure that I hook people and that I give them a lot of substance and that I give them a good call to action or that I give them a good ending place, that is story. And last but not least, you have to get out of the box. Guys, you have to be different. You have to stop the scroll, okay? If you do not stop the scroll, if you do not stop people from doing this, right? Like from being on their phone and like, you know, just endlessly scrolling. If you do not stop the scroll, you will not get the views on your content. You have to be out of the box. You have to do something different and you have to stop the scroll. So a minute ago, I mentioned that like last year, the big thing was like B-roll with like text over the top. Oh my gosh. When I scroll my reels, that's probably like 8 out of 10 of what I see. Do you think I stop and read those? No, they're boring as hell. I want to see something more exciting on my feed. So get out of the box, okay? Again, I'm going to teach you how to create content that actually converts to dollars, okay? Whether that's money through brand deals, affiliates, your own things, platform pay, like whatever you're kind of going for in the money side, all of the content rules are pretty much the same. And I'm going to teach you all of that in the workshop. So it's heyjessica.com/workshop. It's actually going down really soon. So you want to sign up so you can get in. And in that workshop, I'm going to give you a lot of examples of the things we talked about today, or a lot of things that like are a little bit more advanced than what we talked about today, to get you to the point where you see this piece of content works, this piece of content doesn't, and let's figure out why, so that I can create content that actually makes money. So heyjessica.com/workshop. And I will also put a link below to my Substack where every single Wednesday, I'm going to be releasing a new like What's Working Wednesday, where I share content from around the internet, YouTube, Instagram, wherever, that really works and really hits on the things that people need to be doing within their content to stand out, so that you can see examples of all the things we're talking about. So I'll put that link below too. And thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. I'll be back super soon with that video about hooks. And until then, bye.